welcome to Candidate Forum. We are happy to introduce your moderator this evening, Ms. Bach, with the college with the lead of the women voters of Northern New Jersey. Good luck to all the candidates. Everybody? Maybe I didn't need my glasses to read what I've written, but I did. So, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan yet political organization that works to empower voters and defend democracy. With over 100 years of experience, we are one of America's oldest and most trusted civic nonprofits. We never support or oppose parties or candidates. Tonight's forum is devoted to hearing the views of 5 candidates running for Westwood Regional Board of Ed. There are 8 candidates running, but we don't have all of them here tonight. So we have 6 from Washington Township, 4 who are with us. They are Lonnie Azalina, Irene Federigan, George Federigan, okay, and I'm never going to I might just say it. George Pertuz and Heather Perrin. There are 2 candidates running from Westwood, one of whom, Nicole Martin, joins us tonight. So we did separate them because if you're not from Westwood, you can't vote for the Washington Township ones, and if you are from Westwood, you can vote for your Westwood ones, even though they all serve on the Regional Board of Ed. So thank you, candidates, for attending tonight. Follow up a little bit, voters from Washington Township will select 3 Washington Township candidates from the 6 when you get your ballots and you see what's there. And from Westwood, you will be selecting from 2 and select 1. The format for tonight's candidate forum was set with the candidates and the League of Northern Valley. About 50 questions were submitted via the Google form, perhaps by some of you here tonight. I selected 5 of them, capturing the range of topics and interests, and gave them in advance to the candidates. I will also ask the candidates one additional question tonight they have not previously seen. Answers will be timed by our timekeeper for 1 minute, holding up a yellow card, signifying 30 seconds, so I can put that up. And you speak for the candidates, yep, and a red signifying stop. The order of answer will be random, rotated between candidates. Each candidate will make a 1-minute opening statement, a 2-minute, and a 2-minute closing. I encourage candidates in your close to consider expanding on responses given by candidates in this forum, your own included, and or picking up on topics covered or not covered this evening. Please jot down notes if you like. There will be no questions from the audience. Please make sure your electronic devices are off. Neither the candidates nor their supporters or anyone else in the audience other than the lead designee may photograph or record this forum or edit or use excerpts from official recordings for their campaigns. Anyone may share the link to the recording in its entirety. Okay, so beginning with George. What do you consider to be the most important problems or concerns facing the Westwood Regional School District? Please time for 1 minute. Oh, I'm sorry. Opening. Sorry. That's because I came a little late, yes. So actually, we won't start with that question. We'll start with your openings, and we'll go in alphabetical order. So, Lonnie? Let's start. Yeah. Again.
Do I just talk into this? Because I'm not going to get on my... I'm sharing it, right?
Yeah.
That's for the live stream, those are the mics. So you need to give her one of those mics. You need to give her one of those mics.
No, this is what Dave said.
That's just for the live stream, those, so you do need to.
Dave.
Yes.
I need help, please.
Is it working?
Does this jam just go on for the live stream and I talk into the microphone?
You can talk right into that.
This jamming?
But then we won't hear it.
Can you hear me talking into this?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me talking into this? I have a problem. She's got to use it with me. Okay. Hi, I'm Lonnie Azalina. The first thing I would like to do would be to thank everyone who made this day possible, the League of Women's Voters, all of our PSOs, any volunteer that was here. We appreciate you, and we are honored to be here. I'm a mom of 3 kids, 2 of which go to George School. The other one goes here with the incomparable Mrs. Bose. I'm a public school advocate, a parental rights supporter, I'm an artist, and I love plants. I'm also a proud Cardinal since 3rd grade. My commitment to this community started in 2010, the year that I moved here. My husband and I ran the rec wrestling program in Washington Township for a decade, and we are still heavily involved in fundraising for charities and opportunities for students in both the private and public setting. My goals are to bring stability and transparency back to our schools. I believe in the power of unity, and I believe in the importance of a shared mission. That should be our students. I'm from this town. I came back to this town, and I love this town. I'm running because I'm watching our schools and everything that we love going in a direction that I don't recognize. My drawings are on the walls of the high school. My face is on a block in Mr. Spinella's art room, now Miss Deppis. My initials are written on the stage where the Woodington players do their theaters. Our towns are magic. From the Cardinal football games that I can hear from my home to Westwood during the holiday time, we cannot lose this, and so I'm here to bring it back. That's it. I mean, right?
Alphabet board. And Muslims.
Good evening, Westwood Regional. My name is Irene Fanarjian, and I am a 10-year resident of Washington Township, and I currently sit on the Board of Education today. I want to thank the PSO and the League of Women's Voters for allowing me the opportunity to participate in the forum. I grew up in Kearney. Both of my parents immigrated from Poland, and though I was born in the U.S., I began school as an ELS student. My husband and I are parents of 3. Our daughter, who participates in MMA, and 2 boys who love soccer and lacrosse. We are a loud and excitable bunch, and our home is always filled with shenanigans. I also call Abundant Life Worship Center our second home. I currently support individuals eligible for the Division of Developmental Disabilities through urgent and crisis situations as the Assistant Director of Care Management. I have been in this field for over 20 years. I'm currently an appointed member of the board, and I'm running for a 3-year term seat within Washington Township. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be okay.
John, pause for a second.
Oh,
Okay.
well, let's stick to alphabetical order. Oh, sorry.
Dave, just let me know when you're ready.
Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Martin, and I want to start like Lonnie did by thanking everyone who made this event happen. The League of Women Voters, the George School PSO, the high school PSO, anyone else who was involved. I know it was quite the undertaking, so thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I grew up in New Jersey, in Morris County, where I attended public school, kindergarten through 12th grade, and I moved to Westwood about 10 years ago. My daughter attends Brookside Elementary School, and you may have seen me at pickup if you're also a Brookside parent. And over the years, I've volunteered for things like class parent, theater week chair, and I'm also a Girls on the Run coach. So all this to say, I'm really invested in our community, and over the years, I've gotten to know a diverse group of families through our activities, through conversations. My why and my North Star has always been people. It's the reason why I chose human resources as my career. It's always been centered around people, and you'll hear more about that in some of my later answers. I really hope to connect with even more families through this process, and especially if I'm elected, keep an open line of communication, and really hear all different perspectives. I think it's important for you guys to know, because not all of you have met me before, that what you see is what you get. I'm really authentic. There's nothing fake about me. And so, I'm really open to those honest conversations. My goals as a board trustee are centered around empowering student success. And there's a few different ways that we can do that. It's first through academics and making sure that all students are feeling like they're thriving and doing their best through our education. It's through mental well-being, which plays such an important role with academics and making sure that students are succeeding. And then it's also about supporting our teachers, who truly are the foundation of our schools. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Heather Perrine, and I'm running for a 3-year term in Washington Township. I also would like to thank the League of Women Voters, the high school PSO, and the George PSO, and all of the PSOs who this was put together by you all. But I also just wanted to thank all of our PSOs and the fifth grade committees and the graduation committees and all of the parents and families who volunteer day in and day out to make our community and our schools such a wonderful place to be. I'm originally from Brooklyn, but my family, at least my mother's side, is from here. My grandfather taught at Westwood Regional history, and he coached 2 sports, which is why he moved there, because he wanted my uncle to play for him. And he did, and briefly he was drafted by I think they're called the Pittsburgh Pirates. It was a minor league team many years ago. So we've had a connection to this town for a while. They lived in a little red house in Kinderkamak across from the Elks Lodge, which is now blue, unfortunately. And we would come out and spend a lot of time here. And I still have a lot of family in the area. I started, after college, I started in the corporate world, and my work took me all around the world, including Argentina. And after lots of moving around, I landed back here, was looking around where to live, and narrowed it down to this area, and Washington Township was the place to be. I live on Hickory Street. I have wonderful neighbors. My kids have been in the school since the preschool. My older son is now a 10th grader at the high school. My younger son is an 8th grader at the middle school. I would say I love our towns, because I consider Washington Township and Westwood to be sort of brothers and sisters. And I love our community and our schools.
All right, good evening. My name is George Batuz, Township resident. And I have a wife, 3 kids. I was very careful to not say 3 wives and 1 kid. I almost did that, so I just wanted to make sure, because that's cool. I went to public school my whole life. I graduated from Hasbrook Heights High School, graduated from William Patterson College in Wayne after that. Professionally, I've had many different careers, really. Starting off as a musician, I did that, followed my passion for 10 years, got to travel, got to play for a bunch of people, pretty cool. And then I had to go find a real job, right? So you have to go through that process of funneling your passion into a job. And, so that was a transition period. And I ended up in my corporate career the last 10 or 12 years in procurement technology. So I really had the gamut. I've done everything from sweep floors, scrub toilets to meet with presidents. It's been a pretty crazy, run. Anyway, my journey to Washington Township actually starts in the 80s. A family friend of Pacheco's, they were older than my parents, actually. I don't know how old they are, but they lived here in the 80s. So I came here I was in Hasbrook Heights, living there, and we came here to go to their pool. And that was my first time, and really the last time I was in Washington Township until I moved here. But I just remembered, like, wow, what a beautiful town. One day, like, that was a goal. It wasn't even a goal. I was scrubbing toilets at some point, right? That wasn't a goal. That was an achievable kind of place to be. But it was always like that kind of, city on the mountain or something to aspire to. And, many years later, we were able to afford a nice house here, and we've been here 4 years. My kids are in the elementary school, middle school, and the high school, so I'm totally invested in their education at all levels. And, as my slogan implies, I'm not happy with the current trajectory of the movement. That's it, and I just want to help it get back on track. That's it, thank you.
What do you consider to be first question, they want to speak in, and here's what it is. What do you consider to be the most important problems or concerns facing Westwood Regional Schools?
Sure. Number one, the board operating outside its purview. We're on the news constantly. Every month we're on the news, whether it's TV or in print. Actually opened the community paper this week, Sunday. It arrived Saturday or Sunday. We're front page. I don't think we should be on the front page. And we're not there for like academic reasons. We're there because the board is really not following the chain of command, and we're a target when we shouldn't be, really. Two, great teachers are choosing to leave the school district. There's a teacher shortage right now, so they have options. We got to make this place an option for them. Number three, quickly, legal fees, mounting legal fees and potential legal challenges to our policies. The board is openly challenging individuals in the state to test their policies in the courts. This will not end well for the taxpayers.
Thank you. Any question on that?
I similarly have become very concerned about the climate in our schools and in our town. I was not aware of it for some time, and somebody told me you have to go to a board meeting, and I did, and I was genuinely surprised and, to be honest, shocked. And one of the last board meetings I went to, some of the language that was used, I found horrifying. So I like to keep things positive and go for what our goals are. It was just the middle school that they did a survey, and what they came back with what people wanted in the schools was an acronym, RISE UP. Education that is respectful, inclusive, supportive, educational excellence, united, and positive. And I totally agree with that. And that's what I want to shoot for. Thank you.
I would consider the biggest threat to our district the current majority board, and specifically their use of policy in order to drive personal or religious agendas, and therefore the legal liability they've opened us up to as a district because of it. So we know that schools cannot excel and exceed our expectations when the Board of Ed is ignoring the collective will of the community in favor for their own ideation. We've seen real issues like honors classes, air conditioning, the situation at Washington School fall to the wayside as people with little educational background are subverting our laws and ethics. We should not be putting in policies against the advice of our lawyers, against the advice of our superintendent, and we should be leaning on our superintendent as the educational leader, which we are currently not. It's very important in order to fix this that we create policies based on district and stakeholder feedback, and that we comply completely with the federal, state, and local laws and regulations regarding education.
Thank you.
So one of the most important concerns that I see our district facing is the reputation that we've gotten, very similar to what Heather and George said. We are in the media constantly and not for positive reasons, and it's affecting teacher retention. We have teachers and staff leaving at an alarming rate, and this is creating the need for urgent hiring, a lot of money and energy spent on this. I've spoken with teachers who live here but teach elsewhere, and they do not want to work in the town that they live in. Who's heard of that? That's crazy to me. And now with the announcement of Dr. Mortimer's retirement, we now also need to hire for a new superintendent who's a key position in our district. So not only am I concerned that we can't find the teachers, but if it continues, then families won't want to move here. And now we need to do damage control. We're at that point, it's too late, it's damage control time, and we need to find ways to make our district attractive to both teachers and future homeowners.
The search for our next superintendent is of paramount importance. Dr. Mortimer has worked very hard and tirelessly for the benefit of our district, and we need to find someone who brings just as much experience, dedication, and commitment. I think we can all agree that academic excellence, especially around learning loss and underperformance on academics post-COVID, continues to be a challenge. My first priority is helping our districts continue to improve our children's academic performance. Implementing the 3-year strategic plan that was developed from a large community, teacher, and student feedback, I'm committed to every milestone that is laid out transparently and met with our board and administration. Meeting the priorities of both the district and our community in a positive way that unites us, therefore creating the most healthy and inspired academic environment for our kids, especially in the middle school where the convergence of grade schools and drastic individual changes presents the most poignant challenge. Thank you.
We have a second question, and I want to say this before. You don't have to clap, you can, I am going to stop you, but just stay along. The second question I'm going to begin with Irene. What personal and professional experiences and skills do you offer that will help you serve as a board member and address the challenges you pose?
Thank you. I balance competing priorities with 3 children in sports, and I participate in a number of church ministries, including teaching in kids' church with my husband. I work full-time supporting individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Within my work over the past 20 years, I have created and implemented individual care plans, ensured that policies and procedures were carried out per federal and state requirements, reviewed and processed individual and programmatic budgets, and above all, advocated on behalf of individuals and their guardians. I currently serve on the board and have built very strong trust-based relationships. I'm thoughtful and thorough. I'm a strong listener. I also have a solid track record with the board and was very active in board meetings long before they became so popular. Regardless of the climate, I am always polite and diplomatic to fellow board members as well as the community, and I think this is also important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Professionally, I've worked in both public and private school settings, and I think that it's because of that I fully recognize that collaboration is the key to achieving not only a stable but thriving district. And so my first promise is that I will work with all and for all in order to address any challenges that arise. I think my biggest asset is that I am who I say that I am. And that's proven not by my words, but my actions and to my commitment to these communities that I love. I also think that our current board is filled with a variety of corporate employees who see the world in a more expanded way. And while that's really great in moderation and we need the different scopes of people's experience, I think we need to be very careful that we're not losing sight of our very small community and the very specific needs that we have here. And that's
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Make this quick. I have great listening skills, great analytical skills, great communication skills. Sounds like a Napoleon dialect, doesn't it? I have experience working on really large projects with teams that have competing agendas, right? That's really important. Sometimes you're not working with people that are always have the same opinion as you, right? So sometimes you have to listen to them. And one of the skills you learn as a musician is to actually listen to what's happening, right? Actually, in the communications degree, that's most of the degree, right? Listen to what someone's actually telling you, and then respond in a way and make sure that they understand what you're trying to say. And a lot of things can be solved by just communicating correctly. Last thing here is that I'm not an ideologue. I really just want the best for the kids. That's it. If that was happening, I don't think we'd have this kind of emotion right now. We could just have a normal board and move on. Okay? Thank you.
In terms of experience and background, I think I have almost every base covered on some level. I have attended Catholic school, private school, non-sectarian, and public schools. I've taught at a charter school, public charter school, and I'm currently a public school teacher. I come from the corporate world, so I have that background. And I also was an independent contractor, and I did language proficiency testing, which is one of the things that we do in schools as testing. So in terms of my experience, I think I bring a lot. In terms of personality, I don't have a big ego. I'm like to listen to people, hear what people think. I'm very open-minded. And I really believe that I am here to serve you all. This is our community. I'm here to serve, to make it work for all of us.
So personally, I am a parent of the school district, as I mentioned before. And so obviously I have a very vested interest in making sure that our schools have the best possible teachers and staff. I've been involved, I've been a volunteer, I've told you about that. My daughter's also very involved in sports and Girl Scouts. So again, I have had a wholesome community for quite some time now. All of this has allowed me to get to know a lot of different families and hear a lot of different sides. And professionally, as an HR professional and also a career coach, my experience again is all centered around people. That's my why. I've had to listen to hiring managers and teams and understand their needs very wildly. I've sourced candidates, I've interviewed them, and one thing I've learned through all of my professional experience is that one size does not fit all. Every scenario needs something different that requires the listening skills, the analytics, the creativity that I bring.
Okay, next question, we'll start with Heather. How do you plan to actively incorporate the ideas, talents, and preferences of parents and the broader community into the decision-making processes that impact student education within our district, particularly when it comes to potentially contentious issues like book selection and challenges to materials in the school library?
I think those are two separate issues. In terms of listening to the community and incorporating, I think there's already a method for that. And Board of Education meetings accomplish that. We can communicate with our board, people can and should, to express their feelings. Regarding things that are not the board's purview, I don't think it's appropriate to deal with those things on a board level. That includes standards. Curriculum is approved locally by our board and our state, but standards come from the state. Education is a state function per the U.S. Constitution. So I would say that. In terms of how parents can become involved, I would say volunteer. It's what I've done over the years, and I see parents do it all the time. Get involved, support the schools as parents, and let the schools be the schools.
Thank you. Next is Nicole. And you, wouldn't mind just repeating your name in case people the same way. Okay, you can. Your name is awesome.
I can't write on my brain.
Yeah.
Nicole. So thank you for that question. It's quite a meaty one, and I think it really comes down to communication. I think it's important to have an open line of communication with parents and the broader community. And there was one issue specified in this question, but I want to hear about what all the issues are. Whether it's book and material selection, whether it's HVAC in elementary schools, bullying, that's been a hot topic, teacher retention, anything else. If I'm elected, I will continue to have an open line of communication, whether it's through answering emails, through social media, or even hosting open forums where we can hear directly from the public. I would love to see that happen. And let's not forget that parents already have an opportunity to bring their ideas, their talents, their preferences to the district. It's through volunteering, like what Heather had said, whether it's through the PSOs or elsewhere. And having volunteered myself, I can tell you the schools are always looking for more.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, if I was a member of the board, I would listen to parents who have ideas as long as they are within the laws and to use that word again, purview of the board. As far as the library books goes, there's already a system to identify books that may be appropriate. It already exists. It's not a new thing, it already exists. So we would just use that. As far as talents, I would love to start a dad band and play for the kids, right? I would love to do that. But I think the PSO is probably a better avenue for that than the board. I can't imagine taking requests from 6,000 people who had different interests, right? There are already mechanisms for all these things. Nothing is new. One of my sons loves fishing. Let's go fishing. These things exist. You can use the PSOs to exercise those activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me start with saying that any challenges to materials in the school and other issues like that are truly in the hands of the superintendent. It is ultimately the administration's responsibility to solicit parent and community feedback and incorporate that feedback into decisions impacting student education. However, I would engage with parents and the community as I strive to do now. I always do my best to be available and to listen to concerns and feedback thoughtfully and openly. Many parents prefer to have individual conversations, and that should have no less weight than an email or a survey response. I would relay that feedback to the board and the superintendent in the forums where it is appropriate, like an executive session or on a committee, or to the relevant committee chairs. In the end, regardless of anything I convey to the board or the superintendent, the final decisions on issues like library books would come from an administration as part of their responsibilities. Thank you.
Everyone here did a really good job touching on the fact that parent collaboration is already happening. We have PTOs and PSOs. We have a constant stream of volunteers in our schools, and that's happening. It has happened, and it's going to continue to happen. So I would encourage any parent who wants to get involved to join those organizations. These are the parents that are in our schools. I also want to talk about books specifically, and I want to make sure everyone understands that the district has an established process to review and evaluate materials for educational value and appropriateness. This has also always been going on. This process involves input from librarians, educators, and parents. It also takes into consideration age of students, relevance, and alignment with the educational goals of whatever grade or school they're in. It's also very important to remember that while a book may not align with personal beliefs or values, it doesn't exclude the educational merit it provides to other students, and that we can respect the principles of intellectual freedom while also respecting the diverse experience. Thank you. Thank you.
You can follow up, and have more to say, but that's why I feel like that close to be a little longer. Okay, the next question, and we're going to start off on, is what changes, short and long term, do you feel need to be made in order to keep our teachers and staff and
I really like this question. This is the most important. The clearest answer is to stop attacking them. We're seeing the attempted vilification of not only the profession as a whole, but individual teachers and the unions that represent them. Short-term, the solution would be the majority board to stop overreaching in their classrooms because nobody works efficiently while being micromanaged, and teachers need to be given the trust and flexibility to manage their own classrooms. Long-term, efficient and timely renegotiation of contracts, continued academic training, and allowing our teachers to become true stakeholders by talking to them about the changes in the curriculum and trusting their expertise and knowledge and allowing them to do their jobs without fear.
I'm actually going to start with the contract because as a teacher myself, this is sort of a bit of a personal issue. We've gotten into the habit of letting contracts expire for teachers. I think that's unacceptable. There's no reason for it. And I don't think it's fair to our teachers who support our children. And I want to remind everybody of that at every point. That is essentially how I see us. We're a team. And our teachers and our faculty and staff are in the school, and they are there to support our children in their learning in our community. The other thing I did want to say is respect. I think the teachers need respect. I think it needs to be modeled for the children by us. Thank you.
So as you guys have heard, this topic is really important to me, and it is vital that we retain our teachers and attract new talent into the district. Short term, this is something that can be corrected immediately by the current board and certain members of our community by treating teachers and staff with respect. Stop the negative dialogue around teachers, the staff, the union, and their intentions. It's not productive in the setting to go through all the misinformation that has been spread both up on the dais and on social media, but we need to shut this down immediately. Teachers and staff's only goal each and every day is to provide a safe and enriching learning environment for each and every student. Long-term, from what I've seen as a community member, our district has great programs for long-term retention, and as an HR professional, if I were elected, I'd love to learn more about those. But again, if we're able to provide a supportive work environment for our teachers and staff in the short term, then long-term turnover would not be an issue. Thank you.
Thank you. The issue of retention is a legitimate and national concern. According to the Learning Policy Institute, although New Jersey is low on their rankings of turnover, the reasons tend to be similar across states, such as compensation, burnout, and lack of recognition. So what can be done? Continuing our effort to provide needed support to children, thereby allowing teachers to communicate instruction in the most effective and efficient way possible. One of the board and district goals for this upcoming school year, which I'm very excited to support, is to establish the district-wide recognition program to recognize the positive contributions and role model behavior across the district, both from teachers and students. Of course, finalizing contract negotiations to provide the teachers peace of mind, given the current economic climate of concern, would also be up there. It's important to note, though, we experience what every school district experiences with turnover. We have been able to fill vacancies quickly. We have competitive salaries, our community and schools are safe, and our PSOs are incredibly active and successful in their financial support of the schools. Thank you. George.
Okay. As a school district, we're essentially an employer, right? So I'd provide a safe, or want to provide a safe and sane working environment for the teachers. Right? Many of my friends and family are educators, and they don't get into this profession to make, they get into the profession to make the next generation better. It's not about becoming wealthy at it. So they're good people trying to do a good job. Let's support them and not vilify them. And that's it. Thanks.
we'll start with Nicole. Recent debates have arisen over parental rights concerning topics like curriculum choices and sensitive subject matter. How would you balance the rights of parents to be involved in the child's education with the district's educational goals and standards? So, Nicole.
Thank you. I want to start by stating that I fully support parental rights. And as a parent in this district, I have never felt that my rights were at risk. It's also, parental rights have always been protected through the policies of our district and being able to do things such as opt out of lessons. And it's also important to note that schools teach data and families teach ideals. Education does not have to stop at 3 p.m. There is nothing that prohibits families from teaching values at home. Sure, some of these conversations may be uncomfortable. I know I don't want to have all of them, but every parent has the right to balance what's being taught at the school with what's most important to their families and their own values and religious beliefs. So if elected, I want to discuss further with a diverse group of parents and better understand what's the problem we're really trying to solve here.
Thank you. I think this question positions those 2 points of parental rights and district educational standards as if they are in conflict with each other. I don't think that they are. They are not mutually exclusive, and we can have positive outcomes simultaneously on both concerns. Regarding the rights of parents to understand what is happening at school, I am in full support. Parents are the most integral part of the intellectual and psychological development of a child, and they choose to collaborate the growth, development, and education with schools as part of a team approach. I advocate strongly for providing all the academic support children need to improve our district's performance. As I mentioned before, we need to focus on making up for learning loss and ensure we have met the goals and standards the community expects for our district that set our children up for learning success, not just for now, but for their lifetime. Thank you.
I would like to start by saying that parental rights have not and have never been at risk of being infringed upon. Parents have more access to our schools and our teachers now than ever before, and this is from Google Classrooms, Genesis, all the way up to the state curriculum, which is there for everybody to view in its entirety. The even better news is while schools teach our kids facts, we as parents are the ones who help shape our kids' values and morals, and this is where our strongest parental rights come in. I would like to say that I am in full support of the opt-out option without judgment for any parent. I believe that parents are well within their rights for that. The balance comes when the district can support both teachers and parents collaboratively, and that's what we need to strive for. That's it.
Okay. I want to echo the sentiment that, personally, I never felt my rights as a parent were being infringed upon in any way. This is actually a point of contention in my own house. My wife and I have different views on this. You've got to know me for the last 47 minutes, and I don't think you'd want me teaching your kids about certain things, right? I want the school to do it properly. Right? I would blow that. So I want the school to do it. I would like the school to teach my kids certain things. And we'll correct them if they, maybe have some questions about that. I grew up in the 80s and everything, especially now with cell phone, everything you need to know you can find. So I don't think there's hiding any information from you. I would prefer it to be delivered by people who are experts in that field. If left up to me, I wouldn't talk about it and they wouldn't know about certain things. And that's the absolute truth, right? So I would prefer it come first from someone who is a professional, someone who's going to deliver it in a way that is meant for children. And if they need clarification, they can go see my wife.
I am sort of going to echo a sentiment I've heard a few times now. When I first heard of this about parental rights, the first question that came into my mind is, what's going on? Is that a problem? As long as I've been in the school district, I feel like my rights have been very well respected. And I feel like everybody's rights have been, and everybody is also taking care of their responsibilities in the school district and families. In fact, people have gone above and beyond. So I would like to hear what individuals have to say about this and where they think the breakdown is. I think depending on where they think the breakdown is, it can be addressed. So for example, if you have an issue with state standards, then you should probably talk to the state about that, okay? If you have an issue with communication with the school, you should talk to the school. Maybe start with the school principal, depending on what the situation is. Okay, I will stop. Thank you.
Start on the last question, which can we do not receive. As a potential board member, you will play a crucial role in selecting the new superintendent, the highest paid and ranking employee of the district. Could you please elaborate on your qualifications to participate in this decision-making process and outline the qualities and qualifications you believe are essential for the ideal superintendent candidate?
So yes, I do think that the next superintendent is paramount to the movement of our district. I believe that they need to incorporate strong leadership and strong communication skills. I have extensive experience with both high managerial positions, working with them, and hiring staff myself within various supervisory positions. This is not going to be a simple task. It's not going to be an easy one. Finding qualified candidates is going to be difficult, but I think that myself and I have the experience to do it efficiently, effectively, and with the transparency needed with the team that sits there to do that with the superintendent. Thank you.
George, you're next.
Yeah, sure, thanks.
Maybe not, but if somebody you saw. As a potential board member, you will play a crucial role in selecting the new superintendent, the highest paid ranking employee of the district. Could you please elaborate on your qualifications to participate in this decision-making process and outline the qualities and qualifications you believe are essential to the ideal superintendent?
Assuming all the resumes are outstanding and everyone has the proper qualifications for the job, I think these types of jobs, you need something else, right? You need the ability to get something done, right? Sometimes you can see, you might have a contentious situation. You need someone who can navigate these waters and get something accomplished. So I would like to see that. Resumes are cool. I've hired people too. When you get them in a room and interview them and impress them, it's not always the same thing, right? It's not always the same person that shows up that's on the resume. Second, just a track record, that they've done this before. That they've been in this place before, and they can lead us out of it. And one who's strong enough to stand up to the board if they don't agree. If it's going the wrong way, that they'll stand up to it. And not everyone, wants to stand up to your boss, right? It takes guts to do that, and that's what I want. Thanks.
I'm sorry.
No, thank you, because while it is an excellent question and a very important one, the truth of the matter is it's absolutely useless unless the board can work with the superintendent. Meaning, we can hire someone with the best qualifications, we can hire someone who looks amazing on paper and has been amazing in other districts. But if the board refuses to work with the super, who is really the one that's supposed to be driving our educational policies, it doesn't matter how well we interview them. It doesn't matter how well they present themselves. The ultimate goal can only be what super and what board can work together to come to the best conclusion for all students. Thank
This was a question I was hoping to not get, because full disclosure, I would actually have to recuse myself in this process, because I have a family member in the board, in the district, who works in district. We don't look anything alike, but trust me, she's my sister. Having said that, I think it's okay if I answer the question? Okay. This is something I've been thinking about. I'm a big movie buff. Actually, one of my major things I did in corporate was the movie business, and I'm a big fan of sports movies. And one of the major takeaways of every sports movie I've pretty much ever seen is that a strong coach is a key. And what a strong coach does is creates a sense of oneness and unity on the team, and is there to support the team and have its success be the ultimate thing, and to every individual and the group as a whole. That is a quality that I would definitely be looking for if I were allowed to. Sorry.
So experience-wise, you guys have heard I've been an HR professional for 20 years now, so this is kind of my wheelhouse. I've hired at all levels, from hourly employees up through executive levels. So I understand what interview skills are needed to really assess those picture-perfect resumes and see if the person who looks amazing on paper can actually do the job. You probably would be surprised how many times that doesn't happen. As far as qualifications that I would look for in a new superintendent, some of the more essential soft skills: listening, compassion, really being able to see from different viewpoints and not bringing in their own agenda to the district. Also, a business sense where they can strategize and have short and long-term goals that we actively work towards as a district. And as was mentioned before, strong leadership skills, super important. And as Lonnie had said, this person needs to be a good fit for the district. They need to come in and understand their district and not try to butt against what a majority of the community is looking for. Thank you.
Before you, I understand that people who are listening online did not hear the first question, so I'm not going to answer it again. I'm just going to state it, I guess, for the record, for the people listening. So the first question was, what do you consider to be the most important problems or concerns facing the Westwood Regional School District? We want to closing statements from our candidates.
All right. Well, I should have.
You don't have to take it all.
Yeah, I don't want to. First of all, I didn't do this up front, so I'm doing it in the back. Thanks again to the high school and George School PSOs, the League of Women Voters, who cared enough to push this forum through. It was a little difficult scheduling it, but we're here, so that's great. Thank you. In the end, we're not defined by a single grade, a book we read or a book we didn't read. I'm an example of the person who started down one path, that was music. That was my thing. And ended up in technology, which you would have never guessed that from the beginning. Okay. The reason I was able to make that transition is the great education that I got in New Jersey public schools, among the best in the country. I got a lot of cousins, I tell you, I know it's true. I hope they don't see this. The district needs moderate voices to enter the conversation. We need to protect the reputation of the district. We want to retain our great teachers. We want to hire a strong superintendent. And we need to fight for the legacy of this town. They say, be the change you want to see in the world, and that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Again, thank you for putting this together, and thank you all for coming. Those of you watching at home, thank you also. it's great to have this opportunity to speak to everybody. And I hope to hear from lots of people in the future. I'm hoping that moving forward, we can do the things that some of us have talked about, shifting our focus back to the positive and creating, maybe recreating an environment where our cardinal pride can really shine through. My slogan is Cardinal Strong. Because that really got to the heart of how I feel about it. I said before, and I'll say it again, I love our schools, I love our towns, and I think what we bring is a lot. Our academics are great, our sports are great, all the activities that we have to offer, all of the things that the parents and the families put into it make this just a whole overall excellent experience growing up in these towns. I just wanted to go back to something, actually, a friend of mine who's here. Years ago, we were talking about how to contribute. She was looking into the PSO. Yeah. And I was looking at what I was going to do. And she said something about volunteering and having it be for the kids. And I said, everything we do is for the kids. And that's how I feel. Everything we do, all of us in the towns, we do it for the kids. So thank you, everybody. And I hope I'll be able to help that by getting elected. Thank you.
So thank you again for everyone for coming, for everyone who's listening at home. Just want to give a little bit more insight into who I am. I'm someone who's very curious and also reflective. And I absolutely love figuring out how people work. What's the how and the why behind their thoughts and their behaviors, and being able to see from their viewpoint. Nothing satisfies me more than helping people reach their potential. And that's why I chose the tagline, Empowering Student Success. The success of our district starts with the success of every single student that goes here. I promise you, if elected, I will work hard to make sure that happens. Because all students deserve to be fully prepared for the workforce and confident going into it, whether their journey takes them to college, to trade school, or elsewhere. I'm someone who's very collaborative and thoughtful. I work with everyone on the dais, whether or not we like each other, because we're not always going to like each other. We're not always going to have the same ideas, that we're not going to always agree, and that's okay. It's what the board is elected to do, is to work together through those differences. I will listen to all sides. I will not come in with preconceived notions. And I do this every day in my job in human resources. I have to balance working for both the company and the employees and finding that middle ground. And that's how I see the role of a board trustee. I've had maybe difficult conversations and while remaining unbiased. So the experience there. And yes, like every human has like ideas, I have like values, like beliefs. We all do. But there's no place for my beliefs and values on the board. I've helped solve a wide variety of issues using analytical skills, creativity, and open communication. And again, I want to hear from all of you. If you have questions, please reach out. You can find my contact information. Thank you.
It seems there was a lot of focus on specific financial worry from policy that has been raised because of the Attorney General's recent behavior. And in any situation where the district requires legal support they don't already have, I would ensure the board manages that spending with the same discipline and cost-conscious process as all the other line items in the budget. It is my hope that I've provided you with some understanding of my perspective and style toward the role of trustee. I take the responsibility very seriously and am honored to currently be serving the community on the dais. Next year, my children will span across all levels of school, so my commitment extends to seeing all schools and all grade levels succeed. Growing up in a low-performing school district myself, I know that Westwood Regional is a blessing for our children and for the staff that work here. And I want to see its future continue in a positive way. I'm excited about the way we can move forward. I believe my combined experience supporting individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities over the last 2 decades, volunteering within various ministries, and most importantly, life as a mom, lends a unique voice to the board. It is my hope to continue to be on the board advocating for children and their needs within the educational environment. We didn't get a chance to talk about AI and technology within education, employment readiness, or skill training for those not on the path to university. I hope you leave here wanting to hear more, because I'd love to share more and will continue to provide more of my perspective through this election process. I would like to close with extending an invitation to you to join me and those candidates that were not able to make it here tonight, Stacy Price, James Perino, and Darren DeLuca, at one of the upcoming meet and greets. I bid you good night with a request for your vote for Irene Narjian. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. I went the wrong way.
I'm going to go a little bit of a different way. I don't think that anybody is misunderstanding where I stand and what my values are. I would like to again thank the League of Women's Voters, and I would also like to thank everybody that came. This has been an incredibly humbling experience, and I thank you guys for coming out to listen to us. We're very grateful for this. We're talking a lot about parental rights, so I kind of want to dive into the parents that are doing everything and just say their name. So to Gail and Tara and Heather, who put in the most amount of work and time through adversity to get us here together, we appreciate you. Our PSOs and our PTOs are the bread and butter of our school. It's hard to hear parents who we want in our schools around our children feel like their needs or wants being rejected. So for the parents who've taken this step and involved themselves as volunteers, parents who are up all night icing cupcakes, party planning, fundraising, gala designing, graduation hubbing, classroom decorating, book fair organizing, flamingo flocking, our senior fundraiser, it doesn't know, teacher coordinating, enrichment planning, tree planting, email answering, prom chaperoning, cardinal loving, chaos wranglers, class parents, PTOs, all of you. I would like to say thank you for tonight and for everything that you have done. We honor you, we thank you, and our district would not be able to function without the parents who show up tirelessly to help us and the teachers succeed. And that's all I have to say.
So that concludes our evening. Also, audience. And so I do also thank you for participating, the hosts for organizing, any other volunteer ready to be here and recording and all of that. And we thank you, of course, the audience for thinking enough of the democratic process to show up so that you know your vote is correct. So do remember to make your vote count. The election is on Tuesday, November 7th. Polls open from 6 to 8. There is something going on. There's voter information back there. No applications, so and people have to bring in that information. Early voting begins on Saturday, October 8th, and ends on November 5th at 9 Bergen County locations. I think you, maybe, and friends. And I do encourage voters to, or anybody really, to visit the Vote 411 website. It is the nonpartisan voter information website for statements from candidates on the issues and their bios. So I do encourage all the candidates to respond to Valley. It's just a short survey with a few education questions, but when you go to vote 411, what you will find is on your ballot. So covers all races and groups. So this year, that's several states that had some. Your mayor and council, they're not always to go up, but whether it's up. And so you'll see the names on the ballot, similar to a sample ballot. And this will be very and if you don't see candidates who respond, I'm encouraging you to ask them to respond. Because that's how we become. That's how it gets tested on. Written by them, questioned by us, written by them. We don't have to touch anything that they write. And again, I'm limited to the board of candidate, but again, stay. Finally, Shanks Court will be available. I think it's the district site on as well as the County East website, www.org. We encourage you to share the link or remind you that the recording can only be shared in its entirety. You can download it and free to share it. Some candidates do that, not all of that. Okay, so that's it for the evening. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.